Let Just Better Care provide the in-home support you need to live independently. Visit justbettercare.com today.
This morning we're joined by Luke Pople from the Just Better Care Wollongong Rollerhawks. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for the first podcast. Obviously we'll have a bit of a chat about your background, your history, that sort of thing, and how you got involved with the Wollongong Rollerhawks and where you're up to now and where we're going with the future.
Definitely.
Perfect. If you want to sort of give us a bit of background about yourself and your disability and how you got into the Wollongong Rollerhawks.
Yeah, well, I was born in 91 with spina bifida. At the time, Mum and Dad didn't know anything about that. They didn't find out until I was born, so nothing came up in ultrasounds or anything like that. So, it was kind of a new experience, for new parents coming into having a child with a disability they knew nothing about. From there is, my parents were pretty awesome with the situation, like I said, knowing nothing about it and then just being thrown in the deep end kind of thing. And that kind of continued through my life, it wasn't anything different. So we're all kind of learning at the same time and which is good, I think, kind of normalizing it and not making it a big deal or anything like that. Going on from there, I was walking up until I was 8 years old, walking around school and stuff, and I'd get really tired walking around the playground and to and from classes and all that kind of stuff. So that's when I started using a wheelchair full time. And we did a little bit of sport at school and stuff like that, but there wasn't anything that really took me interest at the time. So I didn't do anything up until I was 13. I was in a shopping centre at Shell Harbour with my mum and my brother, and I got a tap on the shoulder from Arno Okkonen, club legend, and he's got a handful of players into the team, and he said, "Do you want to come and try on a Wednesday night?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll come and give it a go." Went there and first session, loved it, and kind of never looked back kind of thing, and it's taken me on to bigger and better things. Yeah,
and so you mentioned obviously you have a brother, so you had siblings growing up. Were they involved in sport, or was it?
Yeah, my brother got into wheelchair basketball for a while there, and he played footy when he was younger, so he was active and all that kind of thing, and he would come along to our sessions in wheelchair basketball and try it out, and he played in a couple of competitions, and we got to play together, which was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
That kind of was phased out with high school and going to work and life things. So he comes and watches me play and supports me, so he still gets around it. And so that was pretty cool to be able to do that together.
Yeah, definitely. And so your family's still local to the Illawarra and supporting you through the Hawks?
My dad passed in 2018.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And he was one of my biggest fans, and traveling around everywhere to watch us play, and would tune in wherever they could to watch it live stream and all that kind of stuff. But my mum's currently living up in Queensland. She's moved out of the Illawarra, and her side of the family's living up there, so she's moving up to be closer to them. My brother's still local, and I've just moved out of his place actually. Just got a new place in Wollongong City, so
Cool. And so since the age of 13, so you're early 30s?
32 now,
Yeah. So you've been involved with the Hawks, the Rollerhawks for, what's that, 15 years? No? A little bit longer than that. Can't add up.
Yeah, me. Long time it feels like.
Yeah, maths is not my strong point. All right, cool. So, so obviously, with the Rollerhawks, there's been obviously a lot of achievements that you guys have, yourself personally, but also as a team as well, have gone through. Do you want to sort of talk through, the last few years with the Rollerhawks? And
it's been a whirlwind with the Rollerhawks. We've been really successful over the last 10 years or so, and we've either got to the last game and haven't been able to crack the final, or we just haven't been able to make the final for whatever reason. But with the team that we've been able to keep together for a long time, there's guys been playing together in the Aussie team for countless years, and players like myself, Sean Russell, these guys, we're locals here, so we grew up playing here and
Yeah.
been able to kind of crack the senior team.
Yeah.
And that just helps with our combinations and but not only that, like we're all really good mates off the court, and we go do things on the weekend and we see each other outside of our sport, which is really good.
Yeah.
So that all adds into what we've been able we've been able to do, and it's just been a wild ride, really.
Yeah, cool. And particularly over COVID the last few years, obviously we're going for back to back this year. So obviously, having that break, with the COVID throwing it in between, like it's still obviously great for you guys to have that connection and be able to, keep the team together and keep playing and growing and evolving.
Definitely. Obviously, that was a pretty crappy time for everybody, but over that now and being able to get a couple of seasons in and be successful in those seasons. So hopefully continue that momentum going into this year.
And so during obviously that COVID break, like were you guys like still training or like individually or how?
Yeah, it was very individual. We'd have to do stuff either in like garages or just go pushing on the road or finding an outdoor court or something where you can. And then we were slowly able to get into places to be able to access courts and gyms and stuff.
So you can't really have a Zoom meeting, can you?
No, it doesn't really work like that. No, but like we're able to still be connected through Zoom and FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. So we're still catching up and talking to each other all the time. And you just got to do your own thing, like everybody did, and kind of get through it and come out the other side, and we're all ready to go. Yeah,
yep. And for most of us that are new to the wheelchair basketball scene, how does your classification or that sort of work? Like what? I know there's you've got to have a number of points on the court at one time. So what's your classification?
I'm a 2.5.
Yep.
And the maximum you can have with 5 players is 14 points.
Okay.
So it ranges from a 1-pointer, which is your
so like higher disability.
High disability, yep. And that'll go up to a 4.5, which is someone that's either had problems with their back or their legs, and or a below knee amputee.
Yep. And
then it works its way down from there.
Yep.
Having that different combinations on the floor, and the coach being good at maths is very important.
Neither of us would be good.
No, definitely not. I just get told when I'm on, and then that's easy enough for me.
Well, that's very interesting. And then obviously you've been involved in the 3-on-3. The classifications work the same way?
Yeah. So with the only 3 on the court, and you can only have 8 points on the floor at any time.
Yeah.
So for that tournament, you can only have a team of 4, so 1 sub.
Okay.
But it's very the games are put on to the players a lot because the coaches aren't allowed to coach on the sideline. They have to sit in the grandstand and kind of just watch.
Wow,
so all the preparation you do beforehand, you kind of have to take that in and use it on the floor and kind of be a coach yourself.
Yeah.
When we just brought that in newly, 3-on-3 is very new to the wheelchair basketball game, and it's really taken off across able-bodied and wheelchair basketball, which is awesome. And then we had a couple of camps leading into the Commonwealth Games, and we had a big group of guys, and they gets cut every camp, and I was lucky enough to get selected in that final one and go represent Australia and captain Australia, and that was a dream come true, really. You wouldn't think that we'd be going to a Commonwealth Games for wheelchair basketball, and this opportunity come up, and we kind of just took it by the scruff of the neck. And
exactly. Because from obviously knowing a little bit about you and your background, you haven't been on the 5, I guess the full team for the Australian team. It's been just the 3-on-3.
Yeah, so we've done 3-on-3. But before that, I was involved I was at the World Champs in 2014 with the Aussie team, 5-on-5, and we won gold there. So that was awesome. And we then went to the next World Championships and won bronze. So been pretty successful in that kind of space. And we've had some great teams over the years, and representing Australia, and just being a part of that team and that kind of history is pretty awesome. Growing up watching players like Tristan Knowles and Sean Norris and Brad Ness and all these guys, and then being able to play with them is pretty cool. The good thing with wheelchair basketball now is it's not a come and try kind of thing. It can be for for fun and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
you can really take it to that next level and be professional, I guess.
Yeah, yep. And obviously, so going back to those Commonwealth Games and winning the gold, obviously, it was the first time that wheelchair basketball was side by side. From my understanding, that's definitely a great achievement. I think we're seeing now the promotion of the Paralympics and particularly having wheelchair basketball involved with mainstream sport. Like that's really becoming a great thing for displaying sport, but
sure.
also the ability of like the athletes. It's you train just as hard and trying to manage work and life balance,
exactly,
that sort of thing. So talk about that, like obviously the opening ceremony, being part of that, not having a separate sort of games that you're actually involved with, mainstream telecast, that sort of thing. How was that?
That was like obviously the first kind of thing that I've been around where we've been able to be together with the able-bodied athletes, and so there was 4 teams. There was the wheelchair men and women and the able-bodied men and women, and it was cool because we got around each other, and you got to meet them and mingle and spend time with them and really get to know them, and they got to know our sport, and we got to understand more of their side of basketball, and that they'd come along to our games and cheer us on, and we do the same, and it was really cool to be a part of that kind of team. And then obviously Australia as a whole at the opening ceremony. Funny story, they said, the wheelchair guys, or you're all going to be up the front. I'm like, yeah, cool, no worries, we'll be there roundabout, we'll be able to see something. And they said, no, you're standing behind the flag bearers. And we're like, oh wow, this is awesome. And sitting there waiting to have Australia called out to go, and we're one of the first countries to go out, and it was pretty surreal actually.
That's tingles already, just like hearing about it, let alone being there, like something like that. You just, I guess when most people start a wheelchair basketball or a sport for people with disabilities, that you don't expect to be playing to crowds or walking out to stadiums of 20, 30,000 people. Like that's just crazy to even think about that's where sport is progressing for people with disabilities, which is just amazing. So,
it's very cool. We train multiple days a week and in front of nobody, and then you're doing all that hard work to, you're not doing it just to play in front of a crowd. You're doing it for your team and for your country and all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty cool feeling being in that situation, and you see it on TV and all that kind of stuff. You're like, that's pretty cool. I'd love to be a part of that. And missing out on being selected in the Paralympics previously, being able to make the team for Com Games and kind of be part of that moment was pretty cool. Yeah,
because you're even seeing now with the Olympics coming up, like Channel 7 is doing the side-by-side telecast, like broadcasters, like that's just unheard of as well. Like normally it's on Channel 7 and the Paralympics is on ABC or
exactly
SBS
or whatever, you hear about it on Facebook or something.
Exactly.
And being able to telecast it, and like it's also for our families too, like they get to see all the hard work that we put in, and to be broadcast back to Australia and high definition and that kind of stuff. It's really cool that we're able to go to that level and be successful. And
obviously yourself and like people like Tristan and that, from the Roller Hawks are obviously leading the way and, setting a great example for other young kids with disabilities in Wollongong and the Illawarra. Like how does that make you feel? Yeah, really cool, because, we were those kids, growing up in the Illawarra and, just going to school and doing everyday things. And, 10, 15 years down the line, you're playing for Australia and living overseas and traveling the world, playing basketball. Like you wouldn't think that you'd be doing that growing up. It's always a dream to do that. But to be able to do that, I'm very lucky and honoured to be able to do that. As a second job, I guess. And obviously with the Commonwealth Games, like you took home the gold. Just watching a bit of footage recently, the semi-final game in particular. They talk about that shot, like overtime, was it? Like, like being involved in that's just mind blowing. But how was that? But then obviously the gold medal game. I think you're leading scorer in the.
I think so. Yeah.
Like talk about that. It's sort of the semi-final and then the final. How was that?
Yeah. So the semi-final, against England, they had a really good team. Lee Manning, one of the biggest humans you've ever seen in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Him compared to all our guys, he was feet.
Yeah.
He's massive. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we knew going into that game that we'd have to play really well defensively, obviously against him, because once he gets under the ring, you can't reach him. You can't do anything, and you don't have a lot of time with the shot clock because it's a shorter shot clock, and it's either first to 21 or when the time is out, whoever is in front wins. So yeah, we went even going into extra time, and it's either you have to win by 2. So there's a lot of pressure to do that, and they started with the ball and they got an easy shot under the ring straight away, and we're like, we have to go for it here. And shot clock was going down in our possession, and I remember having the ball at the top of the 3-point line, and Lachlan Sinnott, he plays for the Brisbane team, and he curled out, gave him the ball, and that shot that he hit was huge. One of those things that'll go down in history as one of the highlights of the Commonwealth Games.
Exactly
and I just remember the crowd going wild and us going off. It was just one of those moments that I'll never forget. He came up clutch in that period when we needed him to, and it's just wild.
Yeah, something as a kid, it's a bit like the AFL kicking the goal after the siren.
Definitely.
To win, like it's an amazing feeling. Like may not have taken that shot, but to be part of that team and be on the court, and that's
for sure
happening as well. Like it's as you said, as a child, it's like all you dream about it. Obviously when you're growing up with your parents and being the first, having a disability and trying to navigate life and working out how do you get through this, and then to be at the Commonwealth Games and winning gold medal. Like it's you can't even picture those sorts of things as you're growing up.
No, definitely not. And going into that gold medal game, we were playing against Canada, and we played them in the pool game before that, and we got the win. So we kind of knew that we kind of had that edge over them, and they only had 3 players in their squad because their 4th was injured. So a little bit more pressure on them. They can't get rotations through and all that kind of thing. And we trained well leading up to that. We had a couple of sessions after the semi and just going through a few things, what we wanted to work on and how we thought we could win. And towards the back end of the game, we just stuck to that. It was easy, just pick and roll and go to the basket and we'll get layups. Once the buzzer went off and we all realised that we'd won gold and we'd done it for the first time for Australia, it all started to kind of hit you.
And it's that thing, it's like, it's the first. It's like the first time that the wheelchair basketball was with, the Commonwealth Games and being that first gold medal. So where does the medal live? Do you have a special place, or sometimes you hear that it's in the sock drawer, or like
it's actually in the sock drawer. It's in the box. It's in the box still. It's I know where it is. So
it's the sock drawer, or people can't find them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's to be the story that happens.
Yeah, it's nice and safe. It definitely saw the light of day once I got home. I don't think I took it off after getting it put around my neck at the ceremony. So wore it all the way home on the plane and all that kind of stuff. And obviously friends and family and that wanted to see it once we arrived back. So we got a good tour of the Illawarra.
The fastest I've gone so far is about 32 kilometers an hour. Downhill with a tailwind. Yeah, blind luck on my side. I think having Just Better Care personnel in my life has been a great benefit. It just makes me feel more confident. My wife has to do a lot of my work for me. It's nice that she can tell someone, will you do this for my husband? It takes a little strain off her. Yeah.
after the Com Games, I didn't really have any plans to go back to Europe and play. It was just a, thing out of the blue that popped up. One of my mates that was playing over there, Jonty, he's playing at the team, and he said, "Look, there's a spot open at the team if you want to come and fill that and be a part of the team." And I had to think about it for a little bit because I had zero plans to do that and kind of had to drop everything. I was working and all that kind of stuff. So I went and spoke with work and told them about the opportunity and asked if it's possible, and they were really, really great with it and said for sure, I could take my work over there and still do that abroad. So after committing to saying yes, I had to quickly get my visa sorted, and that was a pain in itself, having to travel to Sydney and paperwork and all the costs of that. But then, a week later I was on the plane and flying over there, and so I wasn't able to commit straight away, but I had to play one game of the league before Christmas to qualify for the rest of the season. So I went over there for 2 weeks and trained and met the team and played one game and came home for Christmas.
Tough life.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks for one game. It's sounds like the stuff of rock stars.
Yeah, not a bad life. So I was able to do that, and we won the game that we played over there, which was awesome. And came back for Christmas, spent that with the family, and then I was back over there start of January, and got back 2 or 3 weeks or a month ago now.
And how did you end up going in the season?
We finished fifth. Unfortunately, you had to finish fourth to make the finals. We dropped a couple of games that we probably shouldn't. We had a couple of injuries. I mentioned Jonty. He got an injury to his thumb, so he obviously couldn't play, pushing his chair and shooting the ball and whatnot. So unfortunately, he had to fly home early, and he was a big loss to our team. So we had another injury with one of the other French guys. He wasn't able to play, and so a lot of guys had to kind of stand up and take on a bigger role in the team, and we did that, but unfortunately we didn't get the wins that we needed.
And so you mentioned obviously going over Europe to play. Is that where basketball's at for people with disabilities now, that you can be professional and have not a career, but I guess be financially stable, I guess.
Definitely.
Most people with disability that play professional sport are still working full time, and as you said, you were working at the same time as well. But is Europe sort of the top level of basketball?
There's a couple of leagues over there: Spanish, German, French, and Italian. They're like the top leagues over there, and we've got a handful of Aussies that are playing throughout Europe, and kind of either working and being able to play there, or living there full time and kind of having that as their kind of main job, full-time athlete. So, but being able to do that, live overseas, travel around, see the world, and be able to play basketball on the weekend, it's not a bad gig.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's good if you can get it.
Absolutely.
But it's great that those opportunities exist, because 5-10 years ago that wouldn't have even been a possibility.
For sure.
A reality. So it's great that that's where sport is going, and they say seeing the same for women in sport, same as Paralympics, people with disabilities, like they're certainly progressing and becoming more professional, and being able to you train just as hard, if not harder, but have all these other barriers for travel and everything like that to that gets thrown at you. It's great that you can then start to actually look at that as a profession and not have to wonder, well, how am I going to pay to get this, or can I get time off work?
Exactly.
It's great. Obviously, you work as a graphic designer, is that right? So obviously, it's great that work allows you to either take time off or take it with you. So, how do you manage that generally when you're in your day to day back in Wollongong life?
We have our on courts and conditioning sessions of the morning, so we'll start about 6:30, 7 o'clock. We'll train till about 8:30, 8:30. Have a shower, and then we usually go straight to the office or work from home or whatever we do. So there's a few of us in the Wollongong team that do that. And then we'll finish work at 5, and 2 nights a week we train from 7 till 9. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are long days.
Yeah.
If we're getting up and training, then going to
Yeah,
work and following up training of the night time. But yeah, we kind of have to be flexible in our lives and give up some things to be able to do the things that we want to do, and then obviously work as well. But I think we've all done it for so long now, and we're kind of used to it, and it's just part of the routine.
Yeah. And so, any plans after this season to look at going back overseas, or just see what happens? Or?
Probably not this year. I work for the Illawarra Hawks, and their season will be kicking off towards the end of the year. So, and that's around about the time when the league in Europe starts. Yeah. So they'll kind of clash. And I think at the moment I'm really excited and driven to be able to keep learning with my work and keep growing. And it's going to be an exciting year for the team on the court. And I think I want to be here and making everything look good on social media and all that kind of stuff, and being a part of that. So I think for this year at least I'll be staying in Wollongong.
Yeah, it's obviously a good environment for the team, both on court and off court, and obviously Just Better Care coming on this year as a sponsor. Like we're happy to be involved and proud to support you guys, because you're out there doing the tough work, but the team that you've got behind the scenes of the Roller Hawks is obviously a great support network to get you guys out on the court doing what you need to do.
Absolutely. Well, without that team behind the scenes, we wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah. We wouldn't be able to go to training and get access to facilities to use to train, and we have to pay to fly, accommodation, like all those things are it's all money, and we've got guys behind the scenes that go out of their way voluntarily to help us get those funds and put us in a good position to be able to do what we love. And ultimately they get nothing in return. So we're the ones reaping the rewards. So without those guys we're pretty much done. So we can't thank those guys enough, all our sponsors enough. So very thankful to those guys.
And look, obviously there's no Iron team, but last year was a big year for you in terms of the local Illawarra sports awards. Managing to take out the fan voted category with up against some big names like
absolutely
McEwen, what was it, 7 gold at the last Olympics or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Something ridiculous like that. It's like, why don't you be selfish? Come on, give somebody else a chance. But obviously that's a great recognition for yourself, but also that recognition in the community that she's such a big name, and others that you're up against as well, like Alex, MMA or
UFC, Alex Volkanovski, there's rugby league guys, Ben Hunt, and just massive names, Sam Froling from the Hawks, guys that could easily get the win. But I was looking at that list of names, and being a part of that list was surreal to begin with. But then when my name was called out to actually win was very, very crazy and very humbling. I must know a lot of people in the Illawarra, and got some good friends and family that voted. But like you said, there's no Iron team, and I obviously got to that stage because of my team and because of family and friend support to get me to that level. And I definitely can't take it just for my win.
What about with your travels? Have you had any horror stories? Anything that's obviously you've got Brisbane coming up, hopefully everything makes it there in one piece. Have you had any horror stories over the years with all this international travel? Yeah,
well, probably the worst one was recently come back from France at Christmas time, and I got an email on the plane saying that a bit of your luggage didn't make it. And I just had this feeling in my stomach, and I knew it was my day chair, and arrived there, and that's what was missing. Which is a pain in itself. Trying to get from the airport to the car park or wherever you have to be, and luckily enough I was able to jump in my basketball chair to get to the car park, and my brother was there to help me carry my luggage. And on the way home I had to give Sean Russell a call and say, hey mate, this is what's happened. Do you have a spare chair? And luckily he had one sitting at home that I could use for a couple of days. And yeah, a couple of days later, went up to the airport, picked it up, and it was all good in one piece, thankfully. But yeah, being without the chair for 3-4 days was
those logistics that other able-bodied people don't think about. That if you lose your luggage, okay, that's fine. I'll get some clothes at the other end. But not having a chair, that's kind of an essential sort of thing. And I guess for the roller hawks, when you guys are going to Brisbane, there's what 10 of you.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be even more than that. So
trying to manage the logistics of flights with that many chairs and that,
it'd be very confronting for someone packing it all into the there's a lot of stuff here, and for us we just hope that it gets to the other end so we can play. And
as you said, you've got 2 chairs. I didn't even think about that. That there's it's not just one chair for everybody.
Exactly.
There's people that are taking 2, such as yourself.
It can get pretty hectic.
I wouldn't be want to be the checky.
No, definitely not.
See you all roll cover and be like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, you see their face drop and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have come in today.
Exactly. You sent somebody else to do that. No, well, that's all good. Well, yeah, look, obviously we wish you the best for the upcoming season.
Thank you.
And all your advancements you've done for the local community and people with disabilities, and really highlighting what you can achieve if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's thank you for coming in today and having a chat with us.
No worries. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Let Just Better Care provide the in-home support you need to live independently. Visit justbettercare.com today.